Welcome to another episode of Everybody's Got Something. I'm your host, Seth Hoffman. Today we have the very talented Jessica Montoya and Clark Andrew Libbey. Let's enjoy, let's get into it, let's have a nice time. Well, newsflash, there are a lot of wonderful things happening in the world, a lot of people doing inspiring things, and we are very grateful to have one of the most inspiring people, Jessica Montoya. Jessica, thanks for being here. How are you doing today?
It's so good to see you, Seth. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. I don't
Of course.
necessarily think of myself as a inspirational person all the time. So.
Most inspiring people don't feel that way. There, you are a very humble person,
Thanks.
but you do so many things. I know you first as a teacher, as we taught together, and you teach not only school, but you teach dance and you teach life skills. Maybe we can start first off, since we met in the teaching field, what you can tell us a little bit about life as a teacher. You're the first teacher that I've been privileged to have on the show,
Aww.
and you are one of my favorite teachers, and I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about life as a teacher and what it takes to be a teacher, and just the day-to-day challenges. Night to night. Yeah.
Well, I wish every gray hair had a story. Right? So when we met was 15 years ago, 14 years ago.
Yeah, it was, I think 2009. Yeah, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and those were some of the most amazing times in teaching for me. You know, we taught at a school that really valued play and nature and relationships and empathy and compassion, environmental awareness, just, you know, all-encompassing holistic education. And those were some of the most tender times teaching. You know, as I've grown in my educational career, I become a little bit more disheartened, I think, in the trajectory of education, kind of moving away from building relationships and connection and harnessing that empathy and love for education versus tests, you know, test scores, data.
So those are some of the things we know don't work. Mm-hmm. What can you tell me? I think building relationships, I think that's probably maybe the most important part of teaching, because once you've connected, you can, you can go anywhere with that. Can you tell us a little bit about just what that's been like? Because when I see you as a teacher, and I've been in your classroom, and I see just the warmth and the love that's there. Can you just tell us a little bit about what it's like to be in Jessica's classroom, away from all these official tests and this? What's it like to be in Miss Jessica's classroom?
It's like you get to be your authentic self and be valued and be seen and heard. And I really, because I like to have fun in my life.
Yes.
I want them to have fun in their life and know that learning is fun. I mean, like I think about all the times on Fridays when we would go to the bosque, right? And I would let my kids play in the water and get dirty and, you know, roll around in the mud. And some of the most amazing experiences for them that I think is crucial. So in my classroom, I really do, I want to hear from my students. I want to hear what they want to learn about. Mm-hmm. And I get that opportunity now, and I work for Bernalillo Public Schools, and I'm a gifted teacher for the district. It's not my job to teach them what I love, what I want them to learn in that sense. I want them to come to me with what they want to learn and what excites them, and then it's my job to gather those resources and bring it to them.
So you're kind of like a coach.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Which you also do, speaking of, you do some, tell us a little bit about that part of your job.
So
your life, actually.
Yeah.
It's a job and life.
Thank you. So I'm sober. Mm-hmm. I stopped drinking. Well, I stopped drinking 12 years ago for about 5 years, and then I was like, maybe I can drink again, which I found out I couldn't.
Okay.
And so I just recently celebrated 4 years of sobriety.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big congratulations.
And so through that, I really felt that I have a deep passion for helping other people through whether it's recovery or just managing life on life's terms, you know, finding their passion, finding their talents, finding their something that they have, and really supporting them through life, right, to help build those skills, those life support skills. And so I that's what I love to do. And it's funny because one of my gifted students, you know, said, I said, you know, well, I'm your gifted teacher, but I'm not gifted, right? I don't have the high IQ. I'm not, you know. And this girl said, Miss Jessica, you are gifted. You're gifted in kindness and love. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? So,
and you know, because I think people sometimes give so much credit with how does the world see you, but I think the true treasures is how you see others. And I think that's one of your really special gifts, is people feel really seen and treasured and loved in your presence, which is, I think, what helps you be such a wonderful teacher and a coach, because you can just see, and you have that, you are gifted, and I don't know if you can be taught that. I think maybe that's comes from your heart and soul.
Oh, well, it's you know, it's a profound, and it's spiritual too, right? Like that, seeking spirituality and seeking your true authentic self in life. Like, we're not just here to do nothing, we're here to grow. And through that growth sometimes is really challenging journeys within. And so finding out who you are and what your struggles really mean. And so I think that through my spiritual journey in life, I'm really able to go inward and grow in the ways that I really need to, so that I can help this world in whatever capacity I'm supposed to.
Beautiful.
So it is a lot, but you know, so that's one of the things that I do. And I just in my AA meetings online, I lead meditation meetings, and just had one this morning, as a matter of fact. And you know, we got to constantly grow, Seth. We, you know, because if not, we're stagnant. And just think about anything that doesn't grow, right? We don't get to enjoy the full beauty of it. And so I think that if we have support, like, why do we have to do it alone? Why can't we have guides and teachers and mentors who are walking this journey and who may have walked it before us, that can support us and teach us, you know? And that's what I think, like, the biggest gift with my two daughters, I have two, is that I'm walking right along with them. Like, I don't have all the answers. They teach me so much, I might tear up. You know, they are my greatest teachers, especially of my own self. And so, I just think, like, we're all here to help each other in some capacity or another, whether that be music. I know your next guest is, you know, musically inclined. I maybe get to do that through my dancing, or through AA, or through the spiritual or coaching aspect, teaching aspect. So.
And tell me about your dancing. Have you been? Has this been your whole life? Have you been a dancer and a dance teacher? Is that something that came later in life? How does that fit in with everything?
With everything, a part of my makeup, I think I probably was dancing in my mom's womb. I just, my earliest memories are of her. Oh, there's Cuba. I take trips of groups of people to Cuba for music and cultural experience.
And this is Cuba the country, not
Cuba the country, right. This is Havana. And this is one of the houses where I rent, because we support the Cuban people, and many of them rent out their homes. So this is their outdoor terrace, and I have all those teachers are good friends of mine that I bring to teach individual students or people that come with me to Cuba, and talk about an incredibly magical country that, you know, really we don't know a whole lot about, except you got to go there, and you got to see the people that have the most incredible hearts, and they're struggling, Seth. It's really hard for them in Cuba. So when we get to take groups, we get to, you know, give them jobs, right? Like all these dance teachers are independent dancers. So, so we get to bring joy to a country.
How did you first decide to go to Cuba, and then it's one thing to go there, but now to develop such an intimate relationship with a country and a community there? How did that come about? I love her.
I love Cuba. So, I mean, I was about 5 years old when I started taking ballet. Right? I was or maybe 4. But my best memories, and that taught me discipline. It taught me, you know, how to hold myself. You know, it's a foundation that is so crucial. But my fondest memories are when my mom would put on, you know, KUNM, salsa sabrosa, you know, and we'd be jamming out in the kitchen while she's making food, just her and I. And dancing to Celia Cruz and Tito Puente and Hector Lavoe and all these, you know, salsa greats. And, you know, my mom was married to a musician in the 60s and Little Anthony Imperial and Imperials. And so moved to New York and got to experience all these people. And so I came back and gave me and my brother this experience of music and dance and culture that were deeply embedded in us, you know. And so I've danced my whole life, but salsa just somehow always had like this extra heartstring that pulled at me. So everywhere I'd go, I'd look for the salsa clubs. I'd, you know, try to milk it for all I could.
And did you take like salsa lessons, or you just kind of learned from watching? How did you
No, I just learned from watching. Yeah. And then, you know, as I got into my adulthood, you know, taking some classes here and there, but nothing really like satiated my desire for it.
Yeah.
Until 2016, I saw that Cuba had lifted the restrictions for travel. And so I think I was on like the first commercial flight to Cuba.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And did you know people, anyone there?
No, I
You're
didn't
just
know.
like,
I
I'm
didn't know
going to
anybody.
Cuba.
Right. Well, one of my friends was taking a group. He'd gone several years before, but through Mexico.
Sure.
And so I went there, and it's the first time that I can ever feel absolute, just exquisite ecstasy. That like my dancing desires were. I mean, it was dancing from the second I got up to when I went to bed, and then I'd be missing out on other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So. But it is a culture that thrives in, you know, just like many of the cultures that we see that have songs that have importance to culture and significance. Like these people live, dance, breathe, not just salsa, but son, Afro-Cuban, monturno, like all these different African rhythms that were married with Spanish also rhythms. And, you know, we just, and the Caribbean feel. And so I take groups of people to Cuba, and every time I come home, people are like, that is a life-changing experience. And it was for me too. I eventually married a Cuban man, and he's here now. But it is just something. And
did you met him like on first, or one of your early visits, or after you'd been there a few times?
Well, no, he was a security guard at one of my favorite salsa clubs. So I would see him periodically every time we went back. But I wasn't worried about that. Like I just turned like 35 or something, and I just wanted to dance, and I wanted to enjoy life.
I found my place here.
I found my place. Like Cuba and I had conversations, you know, her energy, there's a vibration, there's a vibe, there's an electricity when you touch your feet to the ground in Cuba.
Yeah.
And
could you see yourself living there full time? I know you have kids here, so you don't know, but if you could, or if that was an option, is it something you could see doing?
I used to think so, but I think until it really has some deep structural changes within its own government, it's just really, it's hard to even buy food there. If you can imagine, for example, my husband had one of the jobs there that they pretty well paid, but it's $40 a month. And so if you can imagine paying for food, paying for clothing, paying for, water, they have bills too that they pay. So it's really, really challenging. And so any opportunity I get to support the Cuban people, whether it's taking groups of people there that get to take dance classes and eat in the restaurants from the Cuban people and rent apartments from the Cuban people, I'm ecstatic to do so. Because
so that's
I know
one of the best ways to support Cuba is just go there, encourage
just
people
go.
to go there.
Right.
I've never been there. I'd be very interested to go.
It's amazing, and I think like we have this one life to live, Seth, and why not fill it with the most amazing things, right? Like get off the couch, do something that maybe you're uncomfortable with or unaware of, like uncertain of. Traveling is one of those things that people just don't know. And so you can read all the things you want about a country and think that you know what it's about, but it's not. You have to go there, and you've got to experience it. And it's just one of the places that I have found a little bit of paradise, on this earth. So, But yeah, so those are just a few of the things I do. I'm also, working for Netflix right now.
Is that right?
I'm a choreographer and Spanish
Wow.
translator for series. Yeah. So there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. And
what can you tell us about, because you're so busy doing so many things, but you have a very calm energy, and what is that? Is that something you've developed over time, or I mean, as long as I've known you, I've kind of had that. Any like life wisdom about how to, just when people are juggling a million things, how to handle that in a way that you can enjoy?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of spiritual work. I've worked with some plant medicine. I've done a lot of ceremonies, and what comes out of it is really understanding my own boundaries.
Yes.
Meditation, my own health of my mind, right? My healthy mind. Really being able to see my thoughts and be conscious of where my mind is going and my focus is going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I don't lose it sometimes. There are situations where I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it really is about choosing my thoughts carefully.
Yeah.
And my words carefully and my actions carefully. And I just, every day that I wake up, I try to do the best that I can.
Yes.
I ask for support from the universe, right, from source, and do the best that I can for my higher self and for those that are around me.
Yes.
So that's what I try to do.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, before we end this segment, you had mentioned some of your best teachers are your daughters. In your life, can you just maybe a shout out or tribute to someone or a couple people in your life who have been some of your great mentors, maybe from a young age, or just someone you met, even something come to mind of someone just who's had a huge impact on you, that supported you being the amazing Jessica.
Oh, I mean, my mother, right? She was an educator for 35 years. She continues to teach me every single day, and she's the one that says it doesn't matter necessarily what you teach the children, it matters how you made them feel. So that
brilliant.
For sure.
Wow.
But my dance teachers, they said you can be the best dancer, but your attitude has everything to do with it. So you could be the best dancer and in the audience saying, I could do better than that, but your attitude really does reflect kind of how you are in this world. So dance teachers, my mom, I would say Kendra, a very good friend of ours.
Yes.
She's one of my greatest teachers.
Yes.
There's a lot. But
well, I want to just share a piece of wisdom that you just shared with me that I'd like to end with, because I think so many people think, oh, I can't do this, or I don't have this talent. But I think you hit it on the head. It's your attitude and how you make people feel, because that's something we do have control over. We can't magically become a basketball star or the best dancer in the world, but we do have a big influence on our attitude and how we treat people and how we affect people. So I thank you for sharing that wisdom with me and anyone who's hearing that. We sure have a lot of power in this world. And any final words to send us off?
Live your best life. Dream it. Do it, right? Call it into your existence, because we truly are the co-creators of our life.
Yes.
Right? And if you don't like what's happening in your life, you have every opportunity to change that just in your own visual, right? Your own vision. Right. And you're amazing, Seth. I'm so honored to be here sitting with you. I'm so glad you're back in the country.
I'm glad I'm back, and I'm honored to be with you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me here.
All right, thank you so much for being here, and hope to see you many, many more times.
Always.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Yeah. Well, we are here with my buddy, Clark, Andrew Libbey. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you, Seth.
Clark, you are one of the hardest working
there's a lot of
folks in town. There are a lot of folks, but tell us a little bit about what you are doing.
Yeah.
You play in many arrangements. One of the very special things about you is you play in a band, you play in various duos, you do some solo things. Just tell us a little bit about all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing music my whole life. I've been playing music and playing shows for 35 years and writing songs for about 30. And I'm a full-time musician, playing mostly for my stuff. The things that I play for my things are mostly like original Americana and old country and Cajun Zydeco stuff. We have a Cajun Zydeco band. The High Desert Playboys kind of does all that stuff, a little Western swing every once in a while. And we play all over the place, and then I do most of what we do is solo duo things. My fiddle player Kristen and I do a lot of touring together. That's probably our biggest chunk of things that we do. That's just real harmonies and fancy acoustic things. And then I also play several other instruments. So I play bass in a band, it's a relatively new band called D.B. Gomez and the Bosque Boys.
He is a true legend
He's
in
a
town
heck of an accordion player. So it's kind of accordion driven, like polka and Cajun and like Cajun Billy Grass, I guess we're calling it, something like that.
Cool.
And then let's see, what else am I doing? I'm playing bass for a band called the Silver Sky Blues Band, a fellow named Julian Dossett out of Louisiana. Great old Louisiana, or not old, but Louisiana blues guy. He's younger than me. It's just kind of, I play with a woman named Carson Berry up in Madrid. I help her with some of her music, and so there's just I try to keep as busy as possible.
So you play with Anne
Luna is one of my favorite people to play with. We've been playing together for a long, long time, and in fact, we met at a party at your house.
How about that?
At a little open mic house things back. God knows how many years ago. We've been playing together ever since. So we're actually doing a show this weekend in where are we? Casa Redena, which is a lovely place. But I get to play with a lot of really, really great fellow named Jeffrey Castle. I get to play with a fellow named Ryan Goodhue, Mikey Hale. These are all absolutely incredible musicians, and mostly what I do is just put together as many shows as I can in a month. I try to play about 15 to 20 shows a month.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. I'm sure there's a lot of musicians out there, maybe who are just getting started, or maybe who have never played a gig that wouldn't even know where to start. What's some of the down low about?
You want to get super specific? You want to get
whatever
dirty here?
Whatever you care to share, because I think it's an area that a lot of people don't really know about. But I've always been so in awe of just how much you play and the variety of things and places you play. And so how does one do that? How do you do that? How do you do it?
I get that question a lot, actually. It's not a bunch of rocket science. It's really quite simple. I always had a background in sales and corporate sales. And it sounds terrible to say it, but when you're trying to get gigs, you're just selling yourself. You're selling your catalog, you're selling your performances, you're selling your sort of zeitgeist as a musician. You're selling basically you as an entertainer. And that involves just honestly quantity. I mean, you have to send a ton of emails. I get up every morning, very, very early, too early. It's weird. When you get older, that happens. And I try to send at least 5 emails a day, 5 booking emails a day, every single day. And try to do more if I can.
And you just have to be like, I'm not going to take it personally. They didn't write back. Whatever.
It's absolutely business. You just keep sending stuff, and if they don't write you back, send it again a month later. And if they don't write you back, send it a month later again.
So persistence.
Persistence. Yep. And you have to practice your craft too, and you have to build a catalog. I have published songs, I think 48 or 49 published songs on the web, you know what I mean? So you have to build a catalog, you have to build, you do have to build some social media presence, that's important, things like that. All these things, that you kind of have to do a little bit of everything these days. You have to do little videos now, things like that. But the bottom line is, none of that is really relevant if you're not getting gigs and paying the bills. And so you have to send emails every day. And that's, and there's some great resources out there. There's some websites that have listings of places you can play. And quite frankly, I spend a lot of time just Googling live music in Denver. Live music in Denver. You can also, one little thing that I do is I follow my friends. I have a lot of friends that do this too. And we all find different places. So we all kind of look at each other's pages.
Rather than reinventing the wheel, it's like, hey, we have a lot of resources.
this guy's playing at this cool place in Taos. I'll go check that place out. So it's just basically, there's really no secret to it. It's just deciding that you're going to treat it as a business. And these days the business is changing quite a bit as well. So you have to sort of constantly adapt to what the latest things are.
Sure.
Lately, the thing that we've been really working on quite a bit, people talk about making money, making enough money to make it. I play full time. I do have a small sound company on the side, sort of a little extra income, but I really just play music.
Yeah.
And it's not about selling. You can't sell CDs anymore.
Right.
So nobody wants CDs.
Right.
So you're either selling.
I already have a coaster.
Exactly. So you're either selling vinyl, which is really expensive to make, or you're selling online stuff, which you may not see any return on.
Right.
I get about a $2 check from Spotify every 3 months. So we're looking just constantly, and it sounds very businesslike and a little bit less romantic.
Yeah.
We're looking constantly for different revenue streams and how we can. So these days it's about playing shows, making money, playing shows. We do a lot with QR codes, getting QR codes out to people that can give us tips and things like that, not just waiting for them to walk up to a tip jar.
Right, because a lot of times people don't even have cash. They don't have CD players and they don't have cash.
And they don't want to come up in front of the band while you're playing this real pretty song or whatever,
Right.
And then we do a lot. It's about finding different merch and things like that. Really, that's where the money is. People, even the biggest acts are making money like playing shows now.
Yeah.
Because
you have to.
The streaming,
like the Beatles back in the day, they're like, we're not going to tour anymore. They couldn't have done that.
They can't do that anymore.
Well, speaking of, would you be so kind as to share a song with us? You mentioned what is the
this song is a song I have. We're going to be recording here soon and releasing. I'm on a label called Slow Start Records out of Texas, Dallas, Texas. Fancy label. You guys should check it out. It's real nice. We got lots of great people.
We'll make sure we'll put when we post, we'll put the link and everything.
So this song is called The Island of Misfit Songs, and one of the things I did for a long time is I did a sort of song a week thing. Actually, my friend Ann Loon and I used to be accountability partners.
Beautiful.
And we still do that sometimes, but we would send each other a song a week. We had to send it by Tuesday at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
You had to have a song done, even if it was terrible.
Sometimes if you're accountable only to yourself, you're like,
when there's one other person, I'm just gonna see.
I think that's brilliant.
So having somebody kind of say, "Hey, where's your song?" I sent mine. And so I write lots and lots of songs. And one of the things you do with that is you just throw away a lot of songs. Some of them are just no good, and that's fine. They're just widgets. You don't worry about it. So this is a song that's called The Island of Misfit Songs. It's kind of about my imagination of the place where all those songs go that I didn't finish and that I didn't really like very much, and they all kind of sit around a picnic table and complain about me. And I thought of the Island Misfit Toys, so it's kind of I consider this kind of a Christmas song in the sense that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, But so it's about that. It's got a little love song thrown in there too, just for this is acoustic guitar. You can't help it.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen.
Again, another summer's night. This month might be drifter, dear. Wish I could, lying with you here, wrestle with your fears, dear. Tell the angel never coming back. Their protesting is helpless. Looking out, arrows coming fast. Stopping them is hopeless. I'm the king, momentary things. My castle on an island, all my misfit songs I heard wrong. Sorry, never should have gone. The island's all for me, the only one I see. and sleeping can't make you understand. You're in everything I make, dear. Don't think I don't know that my house is made of sand. When I paid for my mistakes, dear. Come, we're making walls that broke us down, without warning, without sound. I'll tell my fictions till everybody drowns. I'll wait till someday comes around. I'll wait till someday comes around. I'm the king, momentary things. In my castle on an island, all my misfit songs. I heard wrong, I'm sorry, never should have gone. The island's all for me, you're the only one I see. Picture and sing of promises that ain't, of hecklers and eye rolls, technically insane. Got a song, ain't never getting done, 'cause it's missing all the fun. My castle walls are gone.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that
Sure,
song. And
yeah.
it's interesting, I like that, people think every song that's written is going to be this or that.
Oh,
but
yeah, that's a
but
big thing.
it's like, of all the things, it's good just to stay in the craft. I recently heard that Eminem is always writing, and he, like 99% of what's written is just, never sees the light of day or never.
I'd say at this point, like, I work on those percentages.
Yeah.
It's more about getting it up to 60%. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I think
Sure.
I'm at like 40 or 50 right now.
Yeah.
About 40,
Yeah.
50% of the songs
Yeah.
I write, I keep.
Yeah.
And I really believe it's very important, if you're going to be a creative person, you have to some extent, divorce yourself from any feelings you have about the piece of art
Yeah.
or creativity that you're making.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just treat it like, as I said, like a widget.
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
Yeah.
Until it gets recorded. When I
Yes.
record it, then I'm like, okay, that's done.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Once it's
Yes.
recorded and
Yes.
released,
Yes.
that's the way it's going to be. But up until that point, I'm willing to cut any verse, cut any
Yeah.
part. If it's not working, it's gone.
Yeah.
And
It's not like, this is my baby, you can't touch any part of it.
I think you do yourself a disservice when
Yeah.
you treat them like your children. You
Yeah.
really do, because
Yeah.
you're not looking at it objectively, and you're looking at it with your emotions involved. Nobody else has those.
Yeah.
Everybody else has their own. You have
Yeah.
to look at it at least somewhat objectively if you're going to do your job.
Something I like, so you play with all these people, probably more variety than just about anyone I know. There's a skill to that. How do you go about doing that? You see someone who has talent or whatever, you get to chatting. How have some of those musical relationships developed, or how does one do that?
I'm shameless.
Yeah,
I just walk up and ask. I'm like, you guys are great. Can I come play with you?
Is that right?
I swear to God, I do it all the time.
Wow.
I do it all the time. I love playing with different kinds of people. I don't really care about genre.
Have you
anymore.
always been so brave, confident? I don't know what
I
you
just
want to
feel
call it.
I'm not confident in my daily life. I'm confident in the musical world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel good about what I'm doing because I've been doing it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so I've always figured, you got to go in, if you got to say it out loud. You got to say, hey, I love your music. I would love to come play with you.
Yeah.
If you ever need me, I would love to. I could do this, and this. So, and that pays dividends when people say, when they know that you appreciate what they're doing and that you're willing to put some time in.
Yeah.
Another thing that I do, I think it's really important when you're going to work with a bunch of people, is you prepare.
Yeah.
You be ready. You know, and a lot of musicians haven't got that yet. That you have to be ready when you get there. learn it when you're there, you know.
Yeah.
And if you get a reputation for that,
Yeah.
people want you around. You know?
Yeah.
I also, there's another thing too, I think it's really important that it's very underrated is music isn't about playing. It's not about having a bunch of technical ability. Like I've definitely been in bands that I've been way over my skis as technical ability. Like even the band I'm in right now, every once in a while I'm like, oh my God, these guys are so much better than me.
Yeah.
But it's not about playing, it's about listening. And if you can listen and wait for your spot and live in your pocket, you know, live in your place.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to play with you. It's really, that's the key to all, any genre, you know. I was originally a bass player, so that was my first instrument, and I do studio session work on bass.
Yeah.
And it's across the board, any genre I play, if I just hang out in the pocket, people are like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, and you start fooling around and doing something to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
And be like, look at me, don't look at the band, look at me. And people are like, I don't want to play with that guy. Like that's, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's another big underrated thing. If you want to play with other people, listen. Like don't just jump in right away. Like just listen to what they're doing, you know, fit in. And then if you're, you know, if you're lead, obviously you're doing other things. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So you play so many gigs and different types of places. Can you tell me what is something you love about playing so much in all these gigs, and what is maybe a challenge? Is if there's a downside, because you know someone who's playing, say, you know, 1 gig a month, whatever, they're going to tell all my friends, I'll come here. But you know, when you're playing, you know, many days out of the week,
sure,
you know, your best friends, you know, aren't going to be coming to every show. You know, you don't know who's going to be there.
No.
But something drives you. So what are something that you just could never get enough of, and what's something that's maybe it's a tough part of it?
They're actually most of those are the same thing. The things that I can never get enough of in the tough part. But I think the trick is if you want to play all the time, you can't just play in Albuquerque. You can't just play locally. You have to go to other towns. You have to go to Colorado, Arizona. New Mexico has a ton of places to play.
Yeah.
There are breweries in every small town, wineries in every small town, and they all want music. And so it's really the travel is my favorite thing, and then every once in a while, not my favorite thing, because we spend a lot of time driving to and from, you know, small towns all over the place.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll set something up where we have to do one of those, like play till 11 o'clock at night. I think we did that once in Carlsbad, and we had to be in Silver City for a brunch show the next morning.
Wow.
And I just assumed they were both in New Mexico. My friends can attest, I have no sense of direction. I don't really ever know where I am. And so I set this up, and Kristen kind of texted me and was like, you do realize that's a 6-hour drive? And so we had to drive like 2 or 3 hours that night. We were driving till 2 in the morning, and then got up the next morning at like 7 to go and play our brunch gig. You know, we made it, but you know, like, so that can be tough. And certainly the money can be tough sometimes. It is, you're constantly looking for that stuff. But I love it. I'm so lucky. I mean, if I told myself when I was in my 20s that I could drive around these little mountain towns all over the Southwest, and I have, you know,
and brighten people's day.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it now long enough. I've done sort of a circuit around New Mexico and Arizona and Colorado to a lesser extent, but somewhat.
Yeah.
That people come, they know me. They come, you know, not hugely popular, but I have people that come to my shows. And
I think probably
there
but
a bunch
everyone's like,
times,
oh, I've seen that guy.
and they request like my songs and stuff. You know,
I mean,
to be in like Lincoln, New Mexico, with like has 50 residents, and they're like, can you play? And I'm like, you know, and so stuff like that is really amazing. I mean, I think that too. I think the other thing I really can't get enough of is I'm a total history geek. I love all history stuff. And some of we don't have a ton of Civil War history in New Mexico, just the Glorieta Pass and all that. But you know, to get to see all that stuff, Fort Stanton. I just recently got to play at Fort.
What a reason to see these places. I'm on my way to a gig.
Fort Stanton, unbelievable. And then Fort Bayard. I just played at Fort Bayard up by Silver City, which is another like post-Civil War fort. And you know, these like Lincoln, New Mexico. These are beautiful, wonderful places. You know, Rio Doce. They have all kinds of history, and all the ghost towns too. I love all that. We go through ghost towns constantly, and I know all of the names of all of them.
Incredible. So you're living the dream. You're living the dream, and I think you are blessed enough to be aware that you're living the dream. Before we go, is there something that you haven't done? And before we end, we're going to finish with one last song. But before we do that last song, is there something in your life musically, you know, I don't know, playing at a Candlestick Park, or I don't know, is there a European tour, something that we can manifest to the universe here today, something that you haven't yet done, or someplace you haven't played that would just light you up, the very idea of it?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about going back to Europe. That would be absolutely wonderful. Going and doing a bit in Europe. But honestly, I don't have such big dreams. I'd love to play anywhere. I would love, the easy answer is Red Rocks. It's like, oh, I'd be great to play at Red Rocks, and that'd be beautiful. But I just want to make a living. I just want to be able to make a living at this. I don't get into the big sort of dreamy parts of it anymore.
Yeah.
I get to play some amazing places.
Beautiful.
I got to play Summerfest in Albuquerque in front of thousands of people, like 4 times last year. Do you know what I mean? Like,
incredible.
What do I need to get much bigger? I'm fine with that. That's good.
You're blessed.
I'm so lucky that I get to do what I do, and I know, one of the biggest parts about it is a ton of work, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I really appreciate it very much, and I appreciate especially the people that have helped me and supported me along the way, and all these great musicians I get to play with are it's an absolute blessing.
Well, Clark, you are an inspiration, my friend, and I know it doesn't come easy.
You're a pretty great musician yourself, my friend.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it coming from you. It's been an honor talking to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the song you're going to send us off with?
Yeah. So I used to book. I've been a booking agent at times in my life for other people. I used to book bands for the label, and there was a fella, this band, The March Divide, that is a solo act, great act. I booked him at this kind of just rectory building in the swamp in Louisiana, about 50 miles west of New Orleans.
Okay.
And I didn't really know much about it, but they seemed nice, and they said it was donations, which is a little scary, but sending somebody on the road that, it's one thing to book yourself a bad show, but to spread it up somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, just give it a shot. Like, you're going that way anyway. Just give it a shot. It's like
life experience.
Saturday night or whatever. He gets there. It was a just building. Just nobody lived there. It's just a building in the swamp. Nobody's there. And about an hour and a half before the gig, all these swamp boats and like canoes and 4x4s start showing up. All these people from the surrounding area came, and there were probably 50 people there. They all gave him $10. We made a ton of money at the show.
Wow.
And had this wonderful show. They made a bunch of crawfish and shrimp and all that stuff. And so I just kind of decided I would make up a fictional juke joint in the swamp called the Hit Parade. That was that place. I mean, I've embellished it a little bit. The Hit Parade is the name of the place, like the little lights and everything. And so this song's called We're on the Hit Parade, because it's just a song about playing in that place and kind of what I thought it might be like.
Perfect song to end us off with, and just that very idea of when you're playing a gig, even if it's a place you played, you don't know what you're in for that night. And what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to the song. And it's just been a pleasure talking with you and knowing you.
Thank you for having me.
And come check this guy out all over the country and all over our beautiful New Mexico. And Hit Parade, Clark Andrew Libbey.
On the Hit Parade. On the Hit Parade, Carolina, baby, we got it made. Band's been swinging, girls been singing, ought to be hot day. Carolina, on the Hit Parade. Lights go up and the boss come down, off the doors 3:45. Oh, mama don't wanna wait no more, she got the jugs from the porch. Billy's angels all warmed up, get your hops out from the drawer. And we'll get to stepping up, 4 on the floor, ain't gotta care no more. Frank's washed up and he's got his born, and that ain't nothing new. Swampland blues, dad brews, get yourself here soon. Band's got pockets in the groove, dancers got them too. Ears are ringing, cause the cat who's singing is falling out of tune. We're on the Hit Parade, on the Hit Parade. Carolina, baby, we got it made. Band's been swinging, girls been singing, ought to be our day. Carolina on the hit parade. Past 3, ain't got nowhere to be. It's nights like this the worst ones think, but think they can believe. Ghosts been living in the theater wings, running through their scenes. Ain't been here, that's alright. The Lord's seen what we're seeing. Clock gets up till 5:30. I guess it's time to go. Made it through, dear Caroline. Chalk up one more show. Say goodnight to all your boys, fairly well to all your ghosts. And we don't know when we'll meet again. Till next time, I suppose. We're on the hit parade. On the hit parade. Carolina, baby, we got it made. Band's been swinging, girls been singing, ought to be our day. Carolina on the hit parade. Carolina on the hit parade.